This episode is going to be so interesting because we will be talking about some very crazy books. So, when we talk about crazy book, we always think about very knowledgeful books, very inspirational books, and books which are just extraordinary. But in this episode, it's kind of different, it's kind of unique. We will be talking about some very dark books which contains kind of dark knowledge, and they are not supposed to be normal at all. So let's start with our very first book, The Devil's Bible, or also known as Codex Gigas. So actually its original name is Codex Gigas, but no one knows or even calls it Codex Gigas because it's very much popular by the famous name The Devil's Bible. So the expert in National Library of Sweden, where Codex Gigas has come to the rest after centuries of adventures and misadventures. They identified it as Carolingian minuscule, if I am not pronouncing it wrong, script. So it's basically script name, and it's very legible style of medieval script. Its uniform size would have required the scribe to rule each page before forming the letters, after which 100 lines a day would have been a reasonable goal. In July 1648, during the final clashes of the 30 Years of War, the Swedish army looted the city of Prague. Among the treasure they stole and brought with them when they returned home was a book called Codex Gigas. Not only is Codex Gigas famous for being the largest medieval book in the world, but because of its content, it's also known as the Devil's Bible. The Devil's Bible is 36 inches tall, 20 inches wide, and 88.7 inches thick, which is just crazy. And it weighs around 165 lbs per pound, or 74.8 kilograms if you convert it. The Devil's Bible contains 310 pages made from volume from 160 donkeys. Originally, the Devil's Bible contained 320 pages, but at some point in past, the last 10 pages were cut out and removed from the book, and the reason is unknown actually. The Devil's Bible was meant to be a work of history. That's why it contains the Christian's Bible in its entirety, the Jewish War and Jewish Antiquities by Flavius Joseph, and this whole book contains medical practices, penitence, and also exorcism. So that's where the dark part comes. The identity of the scribe who created the Devil's Bible is unknown. The scholars have believed that the book is the creation of one person, most likely to be a monk living in Bohemia today, which is known as Czech Republic. During the first half of 13th century, this book has been written by this scribe. So it's estimated, I'm not very sure. Based on the amount of text and the details of illuminations, it has been estimated that it took as long as 30 years to finish the book. In other words, the anonymous scribe seems to have dedicated the most part of his life to creating this Devil's Bible. In 1594, the Devil's Bible was brought to Prague from monastery where it had been kept since the year 1420. The Devil's Bible has been given its name because of full-size portraits of devil. Portraits of devil were very common during that time, but these particular portraits are unique. Here the devil is portrayed alone on the page. The image is very big, 19 inches tall, like it's huge. The devil is crouching and facing forward. He is naked apart from ermine loincloth. Ermine is worn as a sign of royalty. It is believed that the devil wears ermine in this image to demonstrate that he is the prince of darkness. There are several myths surrounding the creation of the devil's fable, as they all involve the devil. One of the most famous myth is that the scribe traded his soul to the prince of darkness so that he could complete the book in one night. On the opposite page of the portrait of devil is an image of heavenly city. This has been interpreted as the heavenly Jerusalem mentioned in the book of Revelation. It was common in the Middle Age to leave books spread on display to convey a message to those who saw it. It is believed that the message intended here is to show the reverse of God-fearing life on one page and horror of a sinful life on the other page. So that was the Devil's Fable. Now let's talk about the other book, which is known as VOYNICH manuscript. So it's not script actually, it's book, but it contains a script which is mysterious. The VOYNICH manuscript is a medieval vellum parchment book with the text in a late form of Bible script in an Italo-Celtic language, probably Old Venetic. It's like a child coloring book. The pages had black and white lines drawing which some other person colored inexpertly with pigments. There are also cartoons of witches and eminent medieval persons such as the Holy Roman Empress. The early pages in the book have brief text in large letters and very poorly painted illustrated, clearly done by a small child, most likely the book's owner. Gradually, the illustrations become more complex and intricate, and the text becomes larger while the lettering size shrinks. The book was intended for the general education of girl children so that they could recognize edible plants, understand simple religious ideas, read and write the languages of their society, follow recipes and instruction, and recite prayers. The text written in a language that has yet to be decoded. The most recent interpretation of VOYNICH manuscript may not have been sound, but it's certainly not the wackiest theory about the text content and origin. The manuscript has been attributed to everyone from ancient Mexican cultures to Leonardo da Vinci to aliens. Some say the book is nature encyclopedia, other claims it is an elaborate hoax. It is divided into 4 sections, each of them are very weird. As Michael Lapointe explains in the Paris Review, the book begins with a herbal section featuring vibrant drawings of plants. But nobody is quite sure that what sort of plants they are supposed to be. Then comes to the astrological section, which includes fold out drawings of celestial charts that do not seem to match up with any known calendar. And finally, there is the pharmacological section. It includes additional drawings of plants followed by pages of writing in the manuscript mysterious languages, which is dubbed in VOYNICHs. Some of the world's most prominent cryptologists have tried and failed to decode the text of 4th section. So that was VOYNICH manuscript, and it's very weird to see books like these two because they are very different and they contain very negative energy. When you actually read this book, you can feel the negativity of them and you feel tortured in such a way that you clearly see that these books are not normal at all. So that was it in today's episode. We have also made podcast on 9 books from ancient India. If you have not seen that episode, then make sure to listen it. It's episode number 1, in which we are talking about the secret society of Samrat Ashoka, and you can check out it, and you will get surprised at how actually ancient Indian culture is very strong and they contain very deep knowledge. Also, ancient Indian culture is very rich with knowledge and books, because there are very great books like Garuda Purana, Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata and Ramayana. We have made podcast on Mahabharata and Ramayana. If you have not listened to that also, then you may want to check it out, because they are just crazy. And Garuda Purana and Bhagavad Gita is in our pending list. We will be making podcast on them particularly soon. So make sure to subscribe us, that so that you will never miss our episodes and our this podcast series. That's it from my side. I will meet you in next podcast. Thank you.